Okay, so when you're putting an offer in on a property, do we think that the deposit amount matters, or is it significant?
I represent a lot more sellers, and I will say we give a lot of weight to that for sure. Like especially if we're in a bidding scenario, right? I will say sometimes if you don't have multiple offers, you are a little bit more accepting of smaller amounts depending on situation too. Like we had a entry-level listing recently that was $150,000, right? And the deposit that came in with it was only $1,000. Did I love it? No. But there's other factors I weigh too, right?
Yeah.
Like possession is quick. Okay, so if we do have to relist this property, like we can do it right away kind of thing, should the deal fall through. But no, it does matter, especially if you're up against others, knowing, having that peace of mind that this money is held in trust somewhere and
Providing
it's holding
you
the
security.
buyer.
Yeah.
I would argue, I think it's even more relevant when we are seeing the unconditional offer.
Oh,
So
yeah, absolutely.
when it's an unconditional offer, meaning there is no financing condition, what is the buyer willing to like bet on themselves that they're able to get their finances in order?
Yeah.
For
Right?
sure.
Is that amount only $5,000 that I could walk away from, or is it $50,000
Yeah.
that I'm not
Absolutely.
walking away from?
Yeah. And in the whole realm of things, like there are buyers who we've seen walk away from 40 grand.
Yes.
Like 40 grand to one person might mean a lot less to the next person, right?
For sure.
Depending on why they're walking away, life circumstances.
Absolutely.
You never know.
Yeah.
But I do think in multiple offers especially, it holds a higher value for sure.
I agree. Yeah, and like you said, unconditional offers for sure. If I'm giving $1,000, but my offer is unconditional,
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
It's also different between like city and rural. In
Yes,
rural, we
that
see
too.
a lot smaller deposits versus in the city. And again, often in rural, you're not competing against people. So yeah, case by case.
It depends too on province, I found. Like we've had people move here
Yes.
from other provinces, and then when I would tell them like this property's listed at this amount, like we should probably be giving a deposit of around this with it and more if we're competing.
Yeah.
Some people are shocked.
Yeah.
They are like, we gave $500 with our offer
Yeah.
back in
Yeah.
the day.
Yeah.
It's like, how did you like?
In both directions though, because like I've had same thing, clients coming from out of province and they're like, don't I need 5%
Yes.
for my deposit?
Yeah.
True.
And
That
it's
is
like,
true.
That's like the
well,
people
no.
coming out of BC
Yeah.
and Toronto a lot
Yeah.
of the time,
Yeah.
but smaller country, more rural places for sure. There's a lot more trust on a handshake, and
Yeah,
the
for
deposit
sure.
is just a mere formality to them. It's
Yeah.
not so much contractual as I think we see it here in a bigger city.
Well, and also value of property, right? I mean, if
Right.
you're selling,
Yeah.
if you're selling a $100,000 condo versus, you know, a $2 million property, you're probably not taking a $1,000 deposit. I mean, I'm pretty sure we had something a couple years ago. We had a $100 deposit on something. I can't remember what house that was. It was something. It was a very strange situation.
We have had a few, and sometimes, especially like entry level properties,
Yeah.
like 5% down payment is not that much money, but they've scrimped and saved and might have it in GICs
Right.
or
Yeah.
in their RRSP. So it's a little bit different. They don't have as much liquidity that they can just pull for this offer right now, right?
Yeah.
So you really do have to take it on a case-by-case basis,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
Like a house that's been sitting on the market for 6 months, you get an offer, the deposit's $500, and maybe it's a lower priced home, let's say. Are you going to scoff at that deposit? You're probably going to counter it, but if the buyer can't find that liquidity to get that money to you, you're going to be a little more willing and open.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
had that just recently, actually. Lower deposit, because that's kind of all the client could come up with at the time. The agent countered us and said we need that deposit to be a little higher.
Yep.
They came back up a little bit, but not much. And I kind of explained to the agent, like, for them, this is like
all they have to
all
give.
they have for a deposit right now.
Yeah, right now.
they ended up getting the house, but I think the agent then knew, like, are they willing to walk away from that then? No, right?
Yeah,
like
for
it's
sure.
True.
Yes,
Yeah, that is a substantial amount of money.
And
Yeah.
again, we weren't competing. Like there's other scenarios where, you know, I see clients get houses because of the deposit alone.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
We've also
absolutely.
on the other side had $500,000 deposits, right? And it's like, I think they'll probably close.
They probably won't walk away from this one.
Yeah, it should be okay.
But yeah, like if you're competing and there's two very similar offers and one has a $50,000 deposit and one has $100,000, it's very easy to say which one you're going with at that point, right?
Sure. Yeah,
So
all else being
I
the
do think deposit amount does matter.
Yeah. And I actually learned early on in my career, I had a client that had the cash liquid for the house they were purchasing. So they just gave it all, like in their deposit. And their lawyer called me and he was so nice about it. And he was like, I can tell you're new here.
You can't do
And
that.
he was like, don't do that again. There needs to be money held aside at closing, even though our way of handling stuff at closing in Manitoba is very different. But he was like, don't, like, that's not very advisable. Don't give it all up front.
Oh, that's funny.
But I thought it was pretty cool. This guy knows this is
You're like,
closing.
whoa.
Here's the money. Like, there's nothing else to do at this
Yeah.
point. So, yeah. But I did have that happen once. So
Yeah, that's
don't
a
give
rare
it-
case.
Yeah, don't give all your money in the deposit. It was the advice of the lawyers. And I can find that phone call note log for you guys if ever you want to know what they advise. But yeah.
That's funny.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, totally.